TJ, the Wheel Deal coming at you live. It is Monday, Money Makers Monday, baby. We're talking October the 28th, 10:37 a.m. I apologize, I'm running a little bit late. Uh, it's my buddy saying, I'm ready when you are. He wants me to make him money. Beautiful. Live on YouTube. He's got to wait. Anyway, appreciate each and every one of you guys. What's going on, Grant? What's going on, Shimpasta? Scar? What's going on? T. Hutch, TJ put in the good word with Noto to slow down a little. I'm telling you. This shit's getting crazy, Troy. It's getting Troy. What's going on, Savan? What's going on, Shamu? Hello and welcome, Mr. Lurker, Mr. G. What's going on? Telling you. So for those of y'all that don't know, the Cowboys are my favorite team. The San Francisco 49ers are my second favorite team. Yankees are my favorite baseball team. The Dodgers are my second favorite team. So it's one of those things that it hurts. It doesn't hurt as much whenever they lose to those teams. So it was a fun day yesterday. Anyway, let's get into it, guys. We're going to get into it. We're going to do a super quick portfolio update because I did one over the weekend because I was thinking that I could do the RIOT Roundtable today. So that's what we're going to do. That's why Alex put the little deal out there on the thumbnail or whatever. So I'm going to see if I can actually do this as well. I wonder if I can add that to this stream somehow. I think he called it gold thumbnail. I'm gonna see if I can put it on there. So we're gonna talk a little bit about RIOT today, the things that I learned. There it is on the top, Jason and I. The things that I learned, the things that I know, the things that I don't know, and then I'm gonna speculate a little bit. I'm going to speculate a little bit because I know how to read in between the lines. So whenever I get to that point in the roundtable discussion about RIOT, and then I tell y'all when I'm speculating, we're going to know that I'm speculating. This isn't going to be anything that Jason or any of the execs told me. This is just TJ being kind of smart and reading in between the lines. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun. Going to be fun. Anyway, so let me see if I can get my shit together here. And we will try to share the stream. I got Gavin over here. I'm on dog duty right now. He's being a pain in the ass as usual. Go over there to the bed, buddy. Because his brother's out at the groomer. So there's that. So I don't have quote of the day. I don't have any of that stuff. We're not set up for any of that shit right now. So we'll just kind of wing it. And as we go, we'll figure it out. Appreciate the 160 some people that have checked out the link on X. And we've got 83 people, 85 people rocking live on YouTube. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You have to do me the favor, smash the like button. I told my wife that I'm going to keep trying to go live on a regular basis as long as we hit our benchmark per stream. And what is that? 100 likes, 1,000 views. So as long as I can get 100 likes and 1,000 views, we'll keep doing the next one. If not, I'll just slow shit down because I want to learn how to play golf. I really want to learn how to play golf. There's several golf courses in the world that I want to play. It's a bucket list thing. So I want to get out there and start swinging the club around if we're not going to make too much progress on YouTube. So I'm going to try to do my best to deliver some good info, but I got to get the benchmarks. 100 likes, 1,000 views, and for the most part, we've been getting that for the last few weeks. So as long as we can stay on that trajectory, we're going to be good to go. Anyway, so I'll do it at the 4:30 because I'm doing these little, whatever they're called, the stamps or whatever. So let me do that, and I'm going to do a real quick, this is real quick portfolio update. Just kind of letting y'all know what's going on, what I'm looking to do, what I'm not looking to do, that whole deal. So let's go. So the first thing that I want to cover is the bets. I made a bet with X that said if they'll give me some likes, I'll buy some leaks, right? So let's go to that over here. So we're going to go over to X. And we're going to see that a couple of days ago, I made a bet with the market that said, for every like, I'll buy one $15 lottery leap for June. If Noto gets paid, we get paid, capped at 400. So 400 contracts, and sure enough, we got over 400 likes, 628 likes. So that's going to bring me back over here. That's going to bring me back over here to SoFi. So I want to direct y'all's attention here. We've got 150,000 shares of 725. I don't know how that average happened anymore. I can't even believe anything on the Robinhood app anymore. I feel like I don't even know how to add and subtract anymore. I go based on what the wheel tracker says, but at the end of the day, more importantly, is what the hell the brokerage says. I don't know how they're doing this stuff anymore, to be honest with you. And then I've already messed around with Legend. I freaking hate it. I hate it. It took an app that I loved so much and it made it real complicated. If I wanted to be on the Thinkorswim app, I'd be on the Thinkorswim app. If I wanted to go mess around with Fidelity and Morgan Stanley and Vanguard and not know whether or not I'm legitimately selling a covered call or buying a call, if I wanted to be that damn confused, I'd be on another platform. The reason that I like Robinhood was because it was so foolproof, no-brainer shit. But I'm not their target market. You know, their target market is a more sophisticated trader that wants to have everything at their fingertips. And that is where Robinhood is going. So I am not going to be on Legend anytime soon because it just confuses me and it intimidates me, and I'm not interested. Just simply not interested. If they wanted to do us a fucking solid, give us the adjusted cost basis, you can do that. That would really help us out. If they know that we're selling options, if they could give me some little memo saying, hey, last time Neil was at these ranges, you did that. Just throw those types of artificial intelligence types hints for us. Use artificial intelligence to help us out. If y'all did that kind of stuff, you'd really be doing me a solid, you know, that kind of thing. Other than that, all these other extra widgets just makes it very, very complicated. They show your damn account info everywhere. I'm like, I want to be able to stream. I want to be able to stream. Should be people stealing our info, and it's just absolutely crazy. So anyway, don't like it. I'm sure it'll work out well for them. Don't really give a shit. So what do we got? We got 150,000 shares, 725 up quite a bit. 5 strategies. We got covered calls at 15 for January of 2026. And we got leaps. We got 200 leaps at 7 for January 2026, 200 leaps at 5 for January 2026. I fully intend to exercise these leaps right here. Now let's talk about the lottery leaps. There is now 1,000 lottery leaps at $10. Why lottery? Because it felt like the lotto when I was doing it. Felt like the lotto when I was doing it because SoFi was in the toilet when I bought these. But then today I bought all these. I closed out the other ones. Well, I bought 100 and then I sold 100 on accident. That's kind of how that went down. So I bought 100, sold 100 on accident. So I bought 100, sold the 200. That was an accident. This was a mistake because I actually tried to do it on the Legend format and I fucked it all up. So fuck Legend, right? Fuck them. Not interested. Not going to be doing any Legend because got the shit all wrong. Cost me probably $1,000 for that stupid error. So then I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to buy all these again. So I bought 200, bought 200, bought the 100. So the 400 that I said I would buy. And so if you see that there, you'll see that it cost me, you know, probably $1,000 or so for that error. So it is what it is. So now I've got 500 lottery leaps, June 2026. Noto gets paid, we get paid. That's kind of the motto there. That's kind of the hashtag. Noto gets paid, we get paid. And, you know, not an opportune time to buy these. Not an opportune time. The IV is high. Best time is when the IV goes low, because even if SoFi spikes up a little bit, the IV is low, you're still going to end up paying less for the option. So just keep that in mind. We're looking to add another 500 to these eventually if we can get better prices. If we get in that 225 range, probably look to add an additional 500 contracts, and then we would have a total of 2,000 lottery leaps and another 400 that we'd actually exercise if things really got out of hand. And so if I went to like $30 or $40, and I would look to exercise in a year from now or so, I would look to exercise the $10 leaps on SoFi. But right now I have zero intention of doing that. So that is what's going on with SoFi in a nutshell, guys. I think it's going to pump And I think it's going to stay pumped. I think the shorts are going to have to start covering. It's going to be 1 year of gap profitability. It's about to get real fun for us. About to get real fun for us. I'm going to skip over RIOT right now because it's the next position to talk about. When I get to RIOT, that's when we'll start the roundtable discussion. We've got Palantir, not doing anything with that. Amazon, not doing anything with that right now. We've already pretty much capped out our position. Well, I'd like to add another 500 shares, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So it's 500. We're at 4,500, and this is kind of where we're at. All the shares are for sale at 185. You know what? It just makes sense to have the 5,000 shares. So hold on, let me just buy these real quick. It's not the best entry point and all that stuff, but tune into the Wheelers seminar this coming Saturday, and I'll talk about that stuff. If you have a 3 to 5 year horizon, you feel like this shit is going up and to the right, stop beating yourself up. You don't have to buy the bottom. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You need to accumulate these shares, because 3 to 5 years from now, I think this thing's going to be at 300 plus. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. So there's that. So then the other thing that I got to do is I got to sell the covered calls real quickly, because I am going to be babysitting these covered calls for the foreseeable future, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. And if the shit gets out of hand and I decide, hey, take the covered calls, take the shares, it's whatever. So I just want to get reimbursed here. That's all I'm trying to do, is make sure I'm doing it right. Covered call. You see this platform on this side, way easier to deal with than the other one. So there's that. So then now I got to go over here, and I got to go like, okay, I'll use this. I'll use the phone because it will give me the information so I can keep the stream going. So then now I got to go and annotate this in the portfolio or in the tracker. So I bought them at 189.57. So now I got to go to the tracker. Got to go find Amazon. I should have done this before the stream. I apologize, guys. So it was 500 and it was 189.47. So there's that. Put that on open. Can't thank Troy enough for this tracker. It's so clutch. And Bill White for adding things to it that would really come in handy. It's 12, 20, 24, 195. It's 5 contracts and was paid $810. So there's all of it. So we got an adjusted cost basis of 177 and some change on Amazon, 177.43. We got 5,000 shares. It says our cost basis is 182.56. So keep that in mind. And this is the wheel tracker doing its thing. So 182.56 is our cost basis. Our adjusted cost basis is 177. Now let's go over to Robinhood and see what Robinhood says. So Robinhood says our average cost is 182.57. So I'm going to go look at my wheel tracker again, and it's 182.56. So we're pretty close. So Robinhood does know how to add and subtract. I think we're good. Guys. So what else do we got going on? I'm trying to roll some PayPal covered calls. I wanted to roll them from 75 to 80 from January to June, because I'm just trying to make sure there's always plenty of extrinsic value left on these contracts, because I'm also selling against the leaps that I'm going to exercise down the road. So this is always the game plan there. So I don't try to maximize every single contract here. I just want to make sure that I don't get in a situation where it's like, oh, you go exercise. So I would make it very painful for the person on the other side to exercise. So I've got them here at 150. The bid is 135. The ask is 165. So we're like right in the middle. We've gotten 30 of them filled, and we got another 170 that we're waiting on. So that's what's going on with PayPal. PayPal has earnings here soon. I think maybe even tomorrow. What else do we got? Tesla, we're not really doing anything with Tesla. We got the 280 covered calls. In the distance, we closed out the cash secured puts. I'm going to exercise these 150 calls probably a year from now. That's when I'm looking to exercise those. So that's all that's going on with that, guys. We're going to get into RIOT here very soon so that I can dedicate the time necessary to make sure we cover all the angles. Intel, we're just kind of on a wait and see mode with Intel, guys. We sold covered calls at $26 for probably like a month from now or so. Yeah, 11-15, a couple weeks. And I'm hoping to rinse and repeat. Picked up quite a bit of money, 10,000 and some change. 10,800, and I'm hoping to be able to do that over and over and over again. What else do we got? That's noteworthy. Bitcoin hood. Hood is something we're playing with the MIT. Okay, then we got 10,000 shares now. We got 10,000 shares at 21. We got 4 strategies. Cover calls at 32. Cash clear puts at 25, 24. We're babysitting cover calls at 26. So I'm sure we're going to end up rolling these, or we might just have them called away because we've got making all this money over here. These are under pressure. We'll see what happens. See how MIT wants to play it. I'm pretty indifferent because I'm not emotionally attached to Robinhood at all, especially since I hate Legend. It's like one of those things that it's like whatever. TSLL, we're good there. CrowdStrike, this is one that they got sued by Delta over the weekend. I was hoping that they would take a crap. We got the 300 shares at 246. We got them for sale at 275. I've agreed to buy more shares at 275. So we're kind of strangling the crap out of CrowdStrike. We'd like to get that to 1,000 shares if we could, but under 275. I don't think there's anything else that's really noteworthy, guys, so we can kind of get on with it. NVIDIA, we rolled cover calls on NVIDIA, and these are our swing trades here on the bottom. So the last one that I'll talk about is NVIDIA, and then it'll be all things RIOT. So NVIDIA, we got these shares right here, 500, and we got them for sale at 534. So they're already in the money. These are for 1220, so we'll see what happens. We'll keep babysitting those, and at some point we'll let those shares go, maybe at like 145, 150, and move on. So we're still waiting on PayPal to dance. Hopefully it will. I like to get those filled. That way I don't have to mess with them. Call life good. So now let's talk about RIOT. So let's see where we're at here. The 17-minute mark. We got on with it. On the 17-minute mark, we're going to call it the RIOT Roundtable. RIOT Roundtable recap. So, where are we at? Where did I get here? I can't find StreamYard. Okay, here we go. There's StreamYard. So, guys, it was a very, very fun experience. I'm glad that we did. It had happened so quickly. I was tagged on a post on X by, I think, Bitcoin Bella is their handle, the Bitcoin Mining Mafia. They sent me an invite to join their channel or whatever. There's a lot of knowledgeable folks in the space, in the Bitcoin mining space, Bitcoin in general. In that space, I've listened to a couple of their spaces on X as well, and they nerd out, they geek out on this shit, man. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They know this at a higher level than I do, but I know how to make money on the space. So that's the thing, and I'm sure the only reason that we got the invite or anything of the sort is because we're big shareholders, right? We're big shareholders. For those of y'all that don't know, I run a boutique hedge fund. I run the family office account as well, and then obviously my personal account. And I probably control about 1 million shares of RIOT, something like that. I don't think Jason knows that. I didn't tell him. So it's not a lot. It's a real big float. So 1 million shares is nothing probably at the end of the day, but it's a lot to us. It's a lot to us. So I wanted to go over there and learn everything that I could about a company that I had already made my bet on. I had already decided that this was one of the horses that I really wanted to run with. So there was an opportunity to get to meet the CEO and some of their other execs. I wanted to take that opportunity seriously, go in there with an open mind and not just, be excited about my bull case, but also be open to the bear cases, because nobody knows the bear cases better than RIOT. So who better to hear the bear case from? Because I didn't think that I was going to go over there for like this big old RIOT circle jerk with Jason and company. I didn't think that that's what we're going for. I think that RIOT knows that the market sentiment is not very favorable right now. So they probably wanted to get some insight from us, like what keeps us holding, et cetera. Where are we at? And then we kind of wanted to see like, where are they at? And, we just kind of had a meeting of the minds. That's it. I asked Jason if we could record the roundtable. He goes, I think we'll get better value if we just sit here and talk to each other. And it's kind of like, you just watch the class, you take it all in, you don't have to take a bunch of notes, you're not distracted or anything of the sort. And I was totally on board. So I'm going to do my best to recall the way that it went down, and we'll go from there. But before we do that, to just give it a little bit of context, and let's talk about the actual position in RIOT. Heavily invested in this particular company right now. So there's 107,300 shares at 756 average. There's 6 open strategies. There's a cash secured put collateral on the balance of 1.384300. And all the shares are for sale. So to put it into context, we've got an agreement to buy 42,700 shares at $9 this Friday. So if RIOT dips below $9, we're on the hook to buy a shitload of shares. Why that kind of weird number? Because it was the same thing. I did a little deal on X saying I'll sell so many cash secured puts for every like at $9 for this Friday, but it really wasn't that. It was, I wanted to get to 150,000 shares. So I'm kind of bluffing from the standpoint that I don't want to buy shares at $9. I'm willing to buy them at $8.50. So I'm kind of secretly hoping RIOT tanks a little bit to give us an opportunity to roll these down to a strike price that is legitimately more of an acquisition price target. If not, well, I'm just going to keep doing this over and over and over again at $9 with 427 contracts, hoping that eventually we can get a sign. That doesn't happen. 4 or 5 cycles go by, and then there's no longer any real money to be made at $9. Then I'll consider raising my strike price from $9 to $9.50. And I'll do that a handful of times. And then if I can't get a sign there, then I'll look to increase the strike price to $10. And then if we just can't get a sign there, then it's just not meant to be for us to own more shares of RIOT. But I'll be glad to take all the premiums that they're paying us for agreeing to do so. And the reason that I'm also being very aggressive with these cash secured puts is because I also have some covered calls in the distance that I'm babysitting. There's 1,073. So all the shares are for sale on 12/20 at $10. So I'm trying to gather the credits. Because I'm anticipating that I'm probably going to have to roll these out from 10 to like 12, possibly even 15. And it's probably going to end up being for like a $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 credit. So I'm trying to stack up all of those credits. That way I feel like, well, I'm kind of doing this with other people's money anyway. It's whatever. You know what I mean? It's whatever. So it's just a game of math, trying to get out of my emotions. But I wanted to sell very aggressive covered calls on the right position because RIOT's volatile and RIOT is known to dilute. So I was like, well, all they got to do is announce another at the money or whatever. And this shit will tank 20% and I'll be off the hook on the covered calls because I understand how my horse runs. So I wanted to position myself accordingly. So that is everything that's going on with RIOT aside from the leaps that I sold. I sold backstop trades. So I got $9 cash secured puts that are doing very well for January. I've got 200 cash secured puts at $10 that are, so-so. And then we got 600 cash secured puts at $7 that are doing well. And we've got 400 cash secured puts at $5 for January of 2026 that are doing pretty well. I sold these not too long ago. And they're already up 36%, guys. Already up 36%. I knew this felt like free money when I was doing it. And the only thing that pisses me off about these backstop trades is why didn't I do more? Why isn't that 1,000 contracts? Those are the things that I just can't understand about myself. It's like I know that I got a winning trade and I go big, but I don't go as big as I feel like I should. But that's where I'm human. I'm flawed, right? So it is what it is. Because at $5, right? That's not just a deal. That's a steal of a deal. And they're paying us money to do it. Annualized, it was about 25, 26%. It was just no-brainer territory. No-brainer territory. So that's what's going on with RIOT. That gives you all the context. So now what I want to do is I want to walk y'all through how it happened. And then we're just going to have a discussion, our own little private riot, if you will, just us girls, having a little pillow fight. 650 some people that have checked out the link on X, the 127 people that are rocking with me live, and put on your questions. If there's any questions that you would like to know about Riot, I would, do my best Jason Les impersonation and answer them for you. If he's giving me those answers, I'll give them to you. So let me catch up on the comments and we'll go from here. So appreciate each and every one of you guys. Appreciate Dan joining. We already did that one. Yes, we talked about that one. What's going on, Diego? I'm going to get with you, brother. I've just been super, super busy. I'm going to get with you and we'll collaborate and do something. What's going on, Midwest? Pumped to hear about the RIOT Roundtable. We're in there. We're going to get in there right now. What's going on, Mark? What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Shop? Corey, what's going on, my man? This is one of our members. This is one of my favorite FaceTimes, man. Him, Mr. G. We got Zavin. We got Albert. Shout out to some people that I met before we get into the RIOT. Shout out to Albert and his wife. They treated us to dinner at Javier's. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful people inside and out. It was an absolute honor to meet them. Shout out to Stephanie. She treated us to lunch at the Beachcomber in Newport Beach. I mean, we're not used to people buying us shit, guys. My wife and I are in a situation where that really doesn't happen in our lives unless we're going out with her parents. Her parents always pay. It's like insulting for us to try to pick up a tab when her dad's at the table, so we don't even insult him that way. So it's really heartfelt when somebody takes time out of their lives and money out of their pocket, out of their family to treat us to a nice lunch or a dinner. It's awesome. It just shows the type of community that we're building here. So it doesn't go unnoticed or unappreciated. So I want to thank all of you guys that we had a chance to meet. Shout out to Jill. She showed up. She was able to get into the RIOT Roundtable, and she gave me this thing. I don't know how to pronounce it. Cow hat, something like that. And it's got really, really cool meaning behind it. So I have it on the desk whenever I'm not live. It actually sits on the microphone. So anyway, it's really, really cool. She was just such an absolute sweetheart. She gave a scarf to my wife as well. My wife's like, "Oh, I can't wait to rock this scarf." So we're just absolutely appreciative to each and every one of you guys that we had a chance to meet on this trip. And also to Christian. Christian sells options. We met him at Torrey Pines because my wife and I stayed at the lodge. So he came over with his beautiful wife and child, and I treated them to a brunch. And then Hugo as well, Will Snowball, or Snowball Hustle. So Will Snowball is another guy. Snowball Hustle on YouTube and on X. Treated him to brunch as well. Absolutely good looking dudes, man. Hugo and Christian could be like little models, and just beautiful people though, like just absolutely awesome people. And then all they want to do is make money, and all they want to do is help people. So it's really awesome to meet people that have a servant's heart like I do. And it's just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful trip, guys. Anyway, what's going on, Diego? The Millennium. It's been a minute. What's going on, Steve O? Good morning, Wheelers. There she is. I guess it can be turned on or off. Can we create options premium with stock growth? Do you focus on stock growth or getting premiums, vice versa? Tune into Wheelers on Saturday. I'm going to cover all of that stuff, guys. Doing the seminar on Saturday. We're already up to like 25 slides. I'm going to give it all to you guys, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent, and how I treat wheeling as a business. I'm going to share my entire playbook, my entire mindset as best I can. I'm going to treat it almost as if it's my swan song, and I'm never going to be able to talk to you guys again. And I'm hoping that artificial intelligence can get a lot of the information from this particular segment so we can get pretty close on this book. That's the idea. Right on. Appreciate you, Dougie Dulles. What's going on, Larmo? Hello, everyone. Noxon. When do you sell to open and cash secured put? Tune into Wheelers on Saturday. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. What's going on, guys? So anyway, what's going on, Amit? What up, my man? Happy belated birthday to Amit. Guys, give Amit a big happy birthday. I'm not sure how old he turned, 26, 27, 28 years old, something like that. Yesterday, I got a notification from Siri uh, on my phone. And so it was late, and it must have been midnight his time. So I'm over there texting him happy birthdays and not even considering that this dude's probably getting some much needed sleep because he has to start preparing for the market open and all this other shit. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So we fly in last Thursday to Long Beach. We get the rental car after a little bit of a hiccup at their enterprise rental car. We're finally able to get on our way, and we go check into the hotel. Then we go and meet Stephanie at the Beachcomber, and we have some lunch there. Get back to the hotel. I'm in shorts and chanclas, right? Because I'm like I'm like, dude, I'm a California dude. Like, just in general, that's the way I always rock. I got tan lines on my freaking toes from my sandals. It's just awesome. So, California is my vibe. It's always been my vibe. We get ready. We go to the RIOT Roundtable, and I wanted to be there early. My wife is like habitually late, and I was like, "Baby, this is important to me. I want to go early." She's like, "Cool, go on your own." I go, "No, no, no. You're gonna come with me because I may get caught up in the moment, and I may miss out on some very key things that transpire. So I need you to be my eyes and ears as well." That way we can discuss it afterwards, and then I'm making more notes on my journal or whatever on the bull thesis of RIOT. You can kind of help me fill in the blanks. And then since I'm so bullish on the company already, I feel like I already have a bit of a bias. I want you to go in there and almost be like skeptical, if you will, not pessimistic, because nobody likes those people, but just kind of be like cautiously optimistic, because I'm overly optimistic. You can kind of like help balance me out. And also, my wife has a real good bullshit reader. So I was like, if Jason's bullshitting us, if any of the execs are bullshitting us, my wife will detect that a lot more than I will. So that was kind of like the game plan between Mr. and Mrs. Wheel Deal going in there. So we show up early, meet this really, really pretty lady. She worked in public relations or something like that. I can't think of her name, Meredith or something like that. And so she greets us, and I'm like, "Hey, do you have a bathroom?" Because we were really need to go to the bathroom. So there was a restroom down the hall. Go to the bathroom, do our business. Then I'm waiting on the wife to get out of the bathroom because my things, I go first and I wait out the door for her, right? And then we go back in together. That was the idea. It's the way we do it everywhere, all the restaurants, whatever. And then Jason taps me. He's like, "Hey, TJ, nice to meet you." So Jason and I are like, shooting shit while my wife's coming out of the bathroom. And then finally my wife comes out. And then so we just talked to Jason for like 10, 15, 20 minutes because we're there early. Like, there was nobody there. There might have been like one other person. That's it. And so we just start talking. And then he's where the reception area is. He's like, "I'm sure you have some questions. We're going to cover it all on the roundtable discussion. But if you want to knock some out, let's knock some out." So let me take you. I'll throw some of the Q&A as I remember. So the first question I had was, okay, you guys have the Rockdale facility that you took over. There was a merger with Windstone or whatever. And I feel like that Rockdale essentially was kind of like where RIOT cut its teeth into Bitcoin mining, where they were like really trying to figure out how to do it at scale. And I feel like really digging into you guys, because I don't want to insult them or anything, right? Because I'm invested in their company and they're not invested in us. But I feel like y'all just like totally screwed it up, so to speak. Y'all weren't very efficient. And then now everything that y'all wanted or y'all couldn't do over, you had to do over at Rockdale. You're kind of able to do that in Corsicana. That's kind of like my feeling for everything. I gave my real quick bull case on RIOT and why I wanted to rock with them from the very beginning. I liked that he had the poker background, etc. For him personally, but that wasn't why I invested in RIOT. Is because I liked that they were able to cap their costs on energy. They worked out some really, really good deals with ERCOT. So he walked me through all of that. And then I told him that I was like super disappointed whenever one of the buildings went offline because of that COVID storm. And why did it take them so long to get that building back online? Like, it kind of made me lose a little bit of faith in RIOT. That was the only time that I've ever been bearish on the company since I've invested in like 2020. So he walked me through the technicalities of all of that as well. He actually got some sort of device, and he was like walking me through, and there's water here and there's lines. He's like totally talking over my fucking head. But he helped me to understand. Like, he helped me to understand why it wasn't that easy of a fix. Like, at first they thought they could repair it. Then it turned out that they needed to replace it. So it just took a lot longer than they anticipated. And then I learned that they have different ways of mining. Like, they have these computers that are like immersion cooling. That's mostly what they're doing in the Corsicana facility. And then these other ones are using air and all of this other shit. And how they took a real big gamble on, I'm not sure if it was Bitmain or MicroBT, one of these suppliers. They took a real big gamble on them when they ordered a bunch of these miners, because they weren't even sure they would be able to fulfill all of those orders. So RIOT was always like real cutting edge. Like, during the last crypto winter, they weren't just like, oh, we're going to hodl and we're not going to spend any money. We're going to like hunker down. Like, we're going to go out there and we're going to position ourselves for the next bull run, which is kind of what we're getting into right now. So that was kind of like the initial discussion. And then we go, we eat or whatever, we're hanging out, and we're just shooting shit. And then I make fun of him a little bit. I go, so have y'all ever heard Jason do an interview? He's always like, in our balance sheet, He's like, the way that I talk about my beautiful wife. Look at my wife, my balance sheet and stuff. And it was just, you had to be there. It was fucking hilarious. Everybody was like laughing, and my wife was like looking at him, like looking at me, like, dude, are you really clowning this fucking dude right now? Like, I thought she was gonna give me the elbow, and I was like, dude, he's a cool dude. He can fucking take it. But I was just like, the balance sheet is one of the main reasons that I wanted to invest in RIOT, because I like companies when I feel like they're on the verge of something potentially great, but I also want to make sure they have enough money on the books or a way to get money, whether it's dilution or otherwise, so that they're not going to go out of business. Because if they go out of business, then nothing matters for us, right? Like, I always look at what's the lifespan of the patient right now. The business is the patient. What's their lifespan? Are they going to go out of business within this 3 to 5 year period? That's a very critical period for me, because that's about how long it takes me to manufacture the win. So we get around the round table. So we're already about an hour and a half into this thing. And then we finally huddle up. We get into the round table. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to see if I can pull up RIOT Investor Relations so that I can see if I could see who some of these people were, some of these people that were there. So I could have had all this pulled up, right? But that would be too easy. But anyway, as I'm talking to you guys, I'll kind of like go through this thing. So the first thing that I asked them at the group, I asked the first question whenever we're all huddled up. There were 7 to 10 of us there in the roundtable discussion. It's just sitting around a bunch of couches in this one room. And I go, so you guys are always bragging about the balance sheet. And I like the balance sheet too. But does the balance sheet via the amount of money that you guys have right now and the access to money that you guys have via the HODL, is it enough to handle all of the current expansion? Or is dilution imminent? More dilution, because you guys have diluted a lot since they've been in business. I think the float might have grown 2 to 3-fold, maybe even 4-fold since Jason's been at the helm. So then there was a gentleman named Benjamin that started talking. So I'm going to see if give me a little time here to get my shit together. Let me see if I can pull this up because it's important. This dude, they had some smart people there, guys. They had some really smart people there. So I'm going to see if I can find these folks here. And I could have done this a little bit more organized. I apologize, but it is what it is, right? So anyway, there was a dude named Benjamin. Man, he's like the chairman or something like that. And he started talking and he essentially said, hey, we weigh all of our options. We weigh all of our options whenever we need to raise cash. We don't dilute just for the sake of diluting. But Jason was very quick to say, here's the thing, TJ. The one thing that I will never do as the CEO, and this is just paraphrasing what he said, is I'm never going to put the company at risk. Like that's not going to happen under his watch. And what does he mean by that? Me kind of reading in between the lines is he's not just going to go take on a bunch of debt because it's going to be considered non-dilutive when he already has everything approved at the market or whatever the case may be via these shelf offerings. To do that, if that ends up being cheaper money, because if we end up 10xing this thing, nobody's going to give a shit if we dilute it early, essentially, right? That's not exactly what he said. I'm just paraphrasing, reading between the lines. So I got it. I got it. So they're not like diluting to be a dick. They're not diluting because they just want to make sure we can cover our share-based compensation and we're good to go. It's none. They're not treating us like an ATM. They just want to make sure that if the right opportunities present themselves, because they're very active in the merger and acquisition space, they need to make sure that they have access to as much money as possible to make this happen. That's kind of what I took from that. So they checked the box. So I gave them a pass because I'm not that excited about dilution. Like there's one thing about it. There's a bear case with these freaking miners is the fact that they're the masters of dilution. Like I even told them my little joke that, there's David Copperfield and Chris Angel, and I've referred to you guys often as the masters of dilution. These guys are the masters of illusion. Well, the miners are like the masters of dilution. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Other thing that I asked them was, what's next? What's next? You guys get to all the capacity that you can possibly mine in Rockdale, and then in Corsicana, there's this little bracelet that they gave me that says 100 exahash. Their mining capacity. What's next? And he wasn't very direct on that. He goes, there's some things in the works, but we're the type of company that's not going to pump out a narrative until something is more concrete. And this was like my big takeaway reading in between the lines. What I was alluding to was Core Scientific. Core Scientific did a deal with CoreWeave in the billions of dollar range because the one big takeaway that I got right away after just jibber jabbing with Jason for like probably 30 minutes in total, maybe 45, was that RIOT's moat is their infrastructure. Like they have a lot of computing power, and it doesn't necessarily have to be utilized strictly for mining Bitcoin. See, I thought the play was I was looking at it very linearly, if that's a word. I was very linear in my thinking. I was like, well, these guys have a lot of computers. If there's enough uptime, they're going to mine a certain amount of Bitcoin, etc. And you can kind of somewhat accurately predict how much money they're going to make. It takes $20,000, $30,000 to mine a Bitcoin. The Bitcoin selling for $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 in the open market. I can see how they make money. That was how simple I was looking at the business. But guys, without them saying it, again, this is where I'm inferring and I'm speculating a little bit, right? That's kind of what you have to do in investments sometimes. You got to look at where the business is, what's it costing you right now, and then where the business can be, where the business can possibly be in 3 to 5 years. Guys, a lot of these Bitcoin miners are positioning themselves for a really, really big pivot because of something called HPC AI. So I'm going to pull up that stupid little acronym because it never sticks. Maybe you guys can help me out in the chat. Maybe you guys can help me out in the chat with what this thing means. Something computing power or some shit like that. Yeah. So it's high performance computing artificial intelligence. This thing right here. So this thing here is potentially going to become the big pivot for a lot of Bitcoin miners. So I think that there's a bigger game being played here, ladies and gentlemen. And my big takeaway, and my wife and I talked about it on our way to Javier's after the little round table, because we went to go eat with Albert and his wife afterwards. So we talked about it right away, and then we talked about it. We talked about it on in the hotel room afterwards, and she was like, "Baby, Bitcoin mining is just kind of the thing that they're doing unless or until something better, more lucrative comes along." So this is why I'm super bullish on Riot. Riot has two really big facilities. They acquired a third one in Kentucky via a merger or acquisition. So they have the ability, unlike some other miners, because their infrastructure is so robust, that they could potentially pivot one of these locations. Again, this is just me inferring, me speculating, and me looking at Jason in the eye, because I feel like there were certain things he just couldn't tell me. And my wife was there, and she's like, "What's he not telling me?" This is like, and Jason walked away and he was like, "There's something that he's not telling you," because I feel like there's just something that he can't tell you. This is, again, my wife with her fucking spidey sense. You know what I mean? She'd be a hell of a poker player because you can't bullshit her, bro. Like, it's just because, there's guys that have been trying to screw her since she was a little, middle-aged girl. So she picks up on things really, really quickly. And she was like, "There's something bigger going on here. I can feel the vibes in the room." So this is my wife and I speculating, Mr. and Mrs. Wheeldeal, nothing to do with Riot anymore. And she goes, "I think that Riot is going to be entertaining some offers like this Core Scientific, Core Weave, and they're going to have to decide whether or not they're just going to continue with Bitcoin mining." Because I was able to ask them during the Riot Roundtable discussion if Bitcoin was at 150,000 a share, 150,000 a token right now. Jason would be like, "We're not even here right now. What are we talking about?" Because they're making a shitload of money at that point, right? But that's not the case. So there's some players, and this Benjamin guy was like, there's tier players, right? There's players that are like here, and then there's players that are like here, and then there's players that are like here. And in so many words, they said that they may or may not be in talks with a middle to upper tier player, and they're with this HPC AI. This is an acronym that was said probably 20 or 30 times that night. And I think they're really taking a hard, close look at Riot's infrastructure. For how much money that can be, I don't know. But I do know this. Riot has the freaking Bitcoin wallpaper on the wall. Riot is a Bitcoin company. Riot is extremely bullish on Bitcoin. So for Riot to pivot into this HPC AI narrative, somebody's going to have to stroke a really big fucking check. Jason didn't tell me that, but I could see it in his eyes because I play some poker too. And I have a feeling that they are entertaining those types of offers. And that's really, really exciting for us, because if there's any type of merger, acquisition, takeover, play, or whatever, the shareholders are going to get paid, and they're going to get paid quite handsomely. So how does that affect the way that I play the position? Is I have to be careful with those covered calls, because I didn't buy any leaps to protect, right? I didn't play the right position the same way that I played the SoFi position, because SoFi is easier, because the compensation package for the CEO. I haven't done that kind of homework, because there isn't a Riot Weekly, right? There isn't a Bitcoin mining weekly. I mean, there are on other channels, but I'm saying like people that I know that I can tap into like that. So I'm thinking about forming that. I'm thinking about forming something like that with people that are in the space and who wants to help me do a Bitcoin mining weekly, so that we can really dig into this potential pivot, because I think that's where the big money is going to be for these miners. Because think about the cycle the way that it is right now. They put all these computers in place, they go mine Bitcoin, and then there's a pump, and then there's the dump, and then these miners essentially become obsolete. They got to go buy the latest and greatest miners to do it all over again, and it seems like it's like a dog kind of chasing its tail a little bit. How are you ever going to get out in front of it? Because they're all the entire space, in my opinion, collectively is undercapitalized. From the very beginning, they've been undercapitalized because they were entering into things that had never been done before. So that essentially is my takeaways. I'm super, super bullish on Bitcoin. So I love being invested in Riot. I also have 1,000. We have it's 1,000 cash secure bits right now on Clean Spark at 750. That's another company that I think is very, very well run, very well managed. So don't own any shares, but I'm interested in owning some at 750. A lot of them, right? 100,000 worth at 750. We can get that price. If not, well, we'll gladly just keep making the money via cash secured puts. So anyway, let me check in with you guys and go from there. Appreciate you guys on Emit. How's that massage chair? Absolutely awesome. I use it 20 to 30 minutes a day. It's kind of aggressive. I still need to mess with the settings or whatever, but it's definitely worth the money. I pay 130 a month on a firm, no interest, for a year or two, however long it was. Amid secretly wheeling on low key, I see you in the chat. Asking similar question from member group: How will strategy work in 2022 bear market? How your portfolio do during the time? Tune in Saturday. We'll talk about all those things. Hey TJ, it makes sense. I made 9% premium on this cash crypto, sold 18 Mara. Right on. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. That's a good trade. Hey TJ, I need hope growing a small 4,000 account. Just keep tuning in, man. Just keep tuning in, and sell put, sell calls, collect premium, and then also have a plan in place to keep investing money. Whether you got to get a side hustle going or whatever the case may be, like funding your account has to be part of your strategy. HPCAA sounds like it'll need a lot of energy just from the name. Yeah, I don't know enough about it. Like, this is, again, they were talking like over my head. They were talking over my head, but there was a lot of nerdy people there, guys. And I'm telling you, they're cooking something. They're cooking something. What I want to do now is I want to put the link in the chat, and maybe some of you guys can help me out with this thing. So let's appreciate you, Hannah. How come your buying power is 2 million as you have 18 mil, double your account in margin? So the buying power has to do with how well your current stocks are performing, how many open cash secure puts that you have, and how the other options are performing. So that buying power fluctuates quite a bit. Have you? Yes, I don't like it, and I tried to use it this morning. It cost me $1,000 on a mistake. Is Riot better than Core Scientific? Man, I don't know enough about Core Scientific. Core Scientific was mining a lot of Bitcoin. I think that they were just not properly managed or something. And they went bankrupt, right? So they filed for bankruptcy. So I don't know. I've never even sold a cash secure put on Core Scientific, much less deigned to own a share. Asking similar question from a member group. Yeah, so we're going to talk about all of that on Saturday. Elf maybe 150 by year end. What do you think? Anything's possible, man. Anything is possible. So anyway, so met this gentleman Benjamin, and I'm having a real hard time pulling any of this stuff up because I just can't do this shit while I'm under the gun like that, right? So here we go. Here we go. I found it. So these are the folks that we met there. So obviously we met Jason Les, a little bit about his background. I think he went to UC Irvine. He played poker professionally for like about 14 years or so, and just became enamored with Bitcoin through poker. Like he found, you know, he was introduced to Bitcoin via the poker universe, if you will. Stopped playing poker completely to focus on RIOT. He was on the advisory board first, and then I believe in the board of directors, and he got offered the opportunity sometime in 2020. I think he officially became the CEO in 2021. And he's dealt with a lot, you know, because it was going like real good, and then boom, the crypto winter or the bear market, and he had to navigate all of that stuff, man. He had to navigate all of that stuff, and they played aggressive. You know, this is essentially like a hand of poker, right? So they played it very aggressively, and they wanted to position themselves to eventually become the largest Bitcoin miner in the world. They believe that once Corsicana is all built out, it will be the largest Bitcoin mining facility in the world. The word on the street is there's one in China that's actually might be bigger, but nobody really knows. Another thing that I asked them is, you guys own about 19.9% of bit farms, and it looks like that's not going to really pan out. So now what? I mean, if I wanted to own bit farms, we could just own bit farms, but we own bit farm. You have a lot of money tied up in bit farm shares just as a common shareholder, but you're able to only do certain things because you own so much of their float, right? So what's going on with that? And again, this was a situation where I could tell that they had something cooking, but they weren't really privy or wanting to say. And then Bitcoin Bella, the lady that put together the RIOT Roundtable conference or whatever, she chimed in and she's like, "It seems like y'all owning so much of Bit Farms has kind of like made other people shy away from buying bit farms because if y'all dump all of those shares, what's going to do to the share price?" And Jason and Benjamin kind of tilted their poker hand a little bit, and they looked at each other and they're like, "Oh, what do you mean?" So they're very aware of this. They're very cognizant of this fact. So I think they're trying to beat bit farms into submission. That was kind of my takeaway. They didn't say anything. I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to say anything. But I think that RIOT's like, well, they see this big position held by us, a fellow competitor, you know, maybe they're going to have to come to the negotiating bargaining table again. And there could potentially be a merger down the road, maybe at a more reasonable price, though, because I know that RIOT lowballed them big time on the first offer. So we'll see what happens. So I don't think that the Bit Farms deal is completely dead. That was my takeaway on that one. So anyway, there's this dude, and that's Jason. Then this other dude, Benjamin. So Benjamin was recruited at RIOT in 2018 and initially served as director and chair of audit. I guess first thing we do is we can go over Jason. Like what are they saying about Jason, right? So let me go here, make this a little bigger for you guys, and me too. So Jason on RIOT in 2017. Jason joined RIOT in 2017. Initially as a member of the advisory board before being asked to join the board of directors later that year. Alongside RIOT's strategic transformation and the reconstitution of his board of directors management team, Jason became chief executive officer and chief executive officer, CEO, in February 2021. Jason is the driving force behind the mission to make RIOT one of the most significant players supporting the Bitcoin network. Jason's passion for Bitcoin dates to 2013, where he gained significant experience in cryptocurrency mining, protocol development, and contributing to open source projects. He is deeply committed to the advancement of Bitcoin, and his technical expertise plays an integral part in RIOT's strategic decision making. Jason's experience extends beyond the world of Bitcoin. He was a founding partner of Binary Digital, where he led the engineering team and coordinated the development of projects ranging from artificial intelligence to reverse engineering and inter-software compatibility. Jason's ability to navigate complex technical challenges with ease and precision is a testament to his leadership skills. Jason also brings a unique background as a former professional heads-up poker player to Riot. He successfully competed in high-stakes games online and the most prestigious high-stakes tournaments worldwide. In 2015 and 2017, he was selected as a human benchmark for testing the world's best poker artificial intelligence in what was dubbed Man versus Machine at Carnegie Mellon University. This experience instilled in Jason discipline, focus, and strategic thinking that he applies to his work today. And he holds a Bachelor's of Science in Information and Computer Science from UC Irvine. He is dedicated to achieving excellence in his work and making a meaningful impact in the world of Bitcoin technology. This dude is like legit super bullish Bitcoin. And then this dude was really, really impressive. He was there as well. Just actually drinking a beer, talking to us. He was just chilling. Benjamin was recruited to Riot in October 2018, initially to serve as director and chair of the audit committee and board of directors. He was selected chairman of the board in November 2020 and nominated to the role of executive chairman in May 2021. Benjamin is the architect responsible for the company's turnaround and position as a leading Bitcoin-driven infrastructure platform company. Under his guidance and leadership, Riot has raised over $1.5 billion, significantly improved its operational and financial profile, reconstituted a more diverse board of directors, established a professionalized cross-functional management team, and successfully integrated 2 strategic acquisitions. So essentially, he's the reason for the dilution, right? Like it's been his call, essentially. So it makes sense looking back on the meeting that he would be the one to talk about it because he probably spearheaded saying, hey, dilution seems like the best alternative for us right now if we want to grow the balance sheet and make us more robust and position ourselves for mergers and acquisitions, et cetera, et cetera. So there was another gentleman. That we met that was really, really cool. His name was Phil, I believe. I'm going to try to find him here. I'm sure he's here. This guy. This dude right here, super, super solid dude. We were able to talk to him for a while. So he joined Riot in March of 2029 as vice president, capital markets. With more than 2 decades of experience in public markets, Phil brings a seasoned perspective and wealth of practical experience to Riot. Phil is primarily responsible for the company's investor relations efforts and its interaction with both covering sell-side analysts and existing and prospective investors. Prior to Riot, Phil was CFO of Citadel Exploration Incorporated for 8 years, where he was responsible for managing financial operations and implementing growth strategies. Prior thereto, Phil spent 15 years on the sell side of the capital markets, primarily in equity research with a focus on the energy sector. Phil holds a Bachelor of Science in Economics from East Carolina University. So I remember him talking about being an economics degree. And then he asked Kristen where she went to school, and she said, I have an economics degree from Stanford. And then Phil got very quiet. It's kind of awkward. It was kind of awkward. So anyway, it was really cool. He was a real, real nice guy. He knows all about cash secure puts and covered calls. Very, very familiar with the market. So anyway, what about MicroStrategy? Guys, I think it could probably end up being the best Bitcoin proxy play. It is just one that, for whatever reasons, wasn't suitable to my eye, essentially. In a nutshell, guys. Anybody wants to join, there's the link right there. If not, we're going to get and call it early. So just real quick on takeaways from just to recap the RIOT Roundtable discussion. As we went into the thing, very bullish, but cautiously optimistic, kind of wondering how much more dilution before Riot would finally be self-sufficient, at what levels would Bitcoin need to be so that they could be self-sufficient. I'm thinking probably in that 75 to 80,000 range. Like things are just, they use a hybrid approach, right? Sometimes they sell, sometimes they hodl, sometimes they do a combination of both. But my big takeaways was that everything is so well thought out. And I also think that they're like legit playing the long game, guys. Like Riot is playing the long game. They probably have like a 2030 vision or something like that they didn't really share with us yet. But all in all, they are a Bitcoin company. But I think they have their eye on something else, or companies in another space in this HPC AI craze that we're in. They have their eye on Riot because if Riot has a moat, my big takeaway is that it has to be their infrastructure. And that infrastructure can be used for other things, not just Bitcoin mining. So I predict, I'm speculating that within the next 3 to 5 years, not only will Riot be one of the largest Bitcoin miners of the world, they're probably going to have some sort of a piece in this HPC AI. So I'm excited to be a part of that because I think that Riot is maybe not like the cheapest valuation here. You know, they got earnings coming up and stuff. I think they're going to be so. But I think it's just going to be about the guidance. I think it's going to be about Jason, you know, touting the balance sheet, but also touting the merger and acquisitions market and touting that, hey, we might be in talks or we're open to being in talks with not just players in this tier, but players in this tier because our infrastructure is very appealing to much larger companies with really big checkbooks. So we'll see. Tune in. Reach out to me if you would like to start some sort of a Bitcoin mining weekly on this channel, and we can like really just like dig into the weeds into this thing because there's a lot to learn. Like when they started talking about this jibber jabber about like freaking terahash and exahash and joules and all this other shit, I was just like, dude, I'm gonna sell puts, I'm gonna sell calls, I'm gonna collect premium, I'm gonna roll one that makes dollars and cents, and I'm gonna make a shitload of money. But it's one of those things like, you know, investing what you understand and all this other shit. That's where I'm so different from the Warren Buffett mentality. And maybe it's because I'm just a lot younger, or maybe it's my temperament. I don't know. But I'm like, I don't have to fully understand something to know whether or not I can make money with it. But that's just me, right? Like, you know, we all got to do us at the end of the day. Anyway, man, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you could do me a favor and smash the like. Again, we're going for 100 likes and we're going for 1,000 views on everything that we do moving forward. And I am going to make a trip. I'm going to reach out to investor relations and I'm going to make a trip over to Rockdale, Corsicana. Trying to grow the channel to 7,500. And then I'm hoping that Jason will come on the channel. I asked him to do so. He definitely did not seem opposed to it. So I think they probably just want me to have a larger audience. So I think that we would need to have, you know, right now we have 141 people on the stream. Maybe if I can show them that, hey, there'll be like 250 people legit interested or something like that on the live, you know, I think maybe we can get 15 minutes of his time or something like that. So we'll see. Anyway, this is TJ, the Wheel Deal, signing off. As always, may your sky stay blue stock stream. Peace out. God bless you guys.